What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Woke as Fuck. This is your host, Maximilian Webster, and I have an amazing guest with us today, my good friend, Nanette Minley. She is the queen of marketing. She is a genius. Nanette really helped me get my shit together when it came to basically my business, all my marketing, and she's just like an amazing person all around. And I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, Nanette.
Hey, thanks so much for that amazing intro. Um, but yeah, I'm Nanette. I am an intuitive marketing coach. I also speak on, different types of things like in personal growth, like embodiment and like communicating. And what I love about marketing is that it really allows you to articulate your magic. That's the way that I view marketing is just a way of communicating your magic. And before you communicate it, you have to see it. And so that's the area where I really like to play with people. I've been doing marketing in some capacity online for over 10 years. My very first online, business was in 2008. So
Whoa.
I've been around the block. um, I'm an OG over here. So
Right?
um, yeah, I love the whole thing, and I've been coaching since about 2014. And so I love combining those two. And yeah, that's what I do. That's who I am.
Yes, yes, awesome. And actually, Nanette and I are part of a three-person team. We're actually putting together a mastermind. So if you're a soul-centered entrepreneur, definitely stick around for the end. We're going to give a little bit more information about that. But yeah, I always love a good origin story. So if you would just please, like, just give us a little bit of the action, like what brought you to this space, like even up to 2008, if you would like to share a little bit
For
about.
sure. Yeah. So ever since I was a kid, like, I mean, really young, I was obsessed with two things. One, teaching people everything I knew. Like, as soon as I learned something, I would turn around and immediately make little worksheets for my sisters or like hold little classes. And it was honestly like looking back, a way for me to really like retain the information.
Yeah.
I was able to like understand it more deeply when I was explaining it to other people. And so that's the first thing that I've done since I was a kid. The second thing is selling. I've been selling since I was probably 5 or 6 years old, starting with candy, all the way to, I was selling cookies. I was selling, I would help people with their homework. Like I had a little tutoring business, all sorts of stuff growing up. And it's always been, for me, a way to have independence. I had a really, really rough childhood. I went through like a lot of abuse and things like that. And so, being able to kind of provide for myself, even at a very young age, when I wanted to have different things, was a really cool, part of my own personal development as a kid and older. And so, selling and teaching has always come extremely naturally to me. Um, but back in 2008, I met my now husband, and he had connected me with some people online that were like selling information basically online. And I started, I made a little Amazon affiliate store when it was all about chai. So I would actually tour. I live in Phoenix, and I would tour the valley and try dirty chais, which are basically chai with espresso, at different coffee shops, review them, and then link to different Amazon affiliate products in my
Oh,
blog.
wow.
Like different teas and different like tools and gadgets for making good tea. And I did that, and then I had a food blog, and I've done all sorts of things. And so when I switched into coaching was actually before 2014, but I didn't know what it was. Luckily, I used to not even tell this part of my story. I don't think you know this at all. I was an extreme couponer. Um, before my son was born. It just we were on a really tight budget back then, and so it was kind of like a game for me to see how far I could stretch our dollars. And so the very first like information based product or teaching thing that I did online was that I was teaching people how to coupon
Mm,
and helping people put together deals and helping them figure out how to structure their shopping trips and stuff like that. And this was like basically right around when my son is born. before I stepped into the network marketing world. And so I did network marketing. I did really well with that because I leveraged my actual marketing knowledge. I built little like funnels, and I used blogging, and I used other ways of growing my audience and not necessarily doing the party thing. And so I went from network marketing into coaching network marketers. So I started coaching network marketers on everything that I did to find the success that I found in my network marketing career. And ultimately, everyone asked me this question: why did you leave network marketing? Well, it was because I was finding that I had a different way of growing it, but I didn't have the tools to maintain it. And so whenever I stepped away from the giant machine that I built, it started to wobble. And it really required like so much of me, to the point where I took a week vacation and my income like cut in half because I
Wow.
wasn't on top of everybody and on top of all of the things. And so to me, I realized very quickly that that was not sustainable. And back then, I didn't know how to build, big programs to like help people, so that they were, able to continue it on their own. So I didn't
Mhm.
have that skill set yet. So I walked away from network marketing and started coaching. And I've been doing that full time for, since then. So that is that. But I went into the spiritual marketing space in 2016. At that point, I was serving artists, handmade sellers, people on Etsy, and folks like that with marketing online. And I had a woman join my group who was a psychic. And I had already been going through my own kind of spiritual awakening in the background, but it was not in any way affecting what I was putting out. Like I was very much behind closed doors. I was having like all sorts of big insights, realizing I was an empath, realizing I had intuitive gifts. Like all this was happening in the background, but I didn't talk about it. But she, connected with my group and was like, "You are supposed to be working with spiritual entrepreneurs." And I was
Mm.
like, what? uh, no, because at that point, I believed the story that spiritual entrepreneurs don't have money. That was
Mm.
my thing. So I was like, no way. Like, are you serious? And when I went to sleep that night, like I had a dream, and I'm not gonna go into the details of it, but when I woke up, I knew for sure that she was right.
Wow.
Um, and so that was when I kind of had to take a really big leap, for me, because I hadn't come out with any of my spiritual stuff. And I used to be
Mhm.
really involved in like Christian church. My dad is super duper religious.
Mhm.
So it was kind of scary for me to put that out there. But the moment that I realized that like my current, my business at the time wasn't in alignment anymore, I couldn't get myself to do anything with it. Like it was
Wow.
just like, no, this is not mine. I don't want to do this. I want to be working with people that are going to make a difference in the world. And that was, what really clicked for me. And
Mhm.
so I ended 2016 basically transitioning out of the other business and into my current business, which is serving spiritual entrepreneurs. And I've been doing that full time ever since. And I found way more success, way, way, way more success serving in this capacity
Mhm.
than everything, really before this point. And I think it's just a testament to alignment. And since I've, transitioned into supporting this, sector of entrepreneur, I've had so many more insights and so many more downloads. And, you know, um, it's been a really cool experience for me the last couple of years because working in this has allowed me to even have deeper awakening. So, yeah, that's
That's
my origin story.
Oh my God, that's so cool and it's so amazing. Something that I heard a couple of months back that really resonated with me is like entrepreneurship is like the quickest route to enlightenment. And I think
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
like from my own experience and just from talking to people such as yourself, it's like that hasn't that's like nothing but the truth for myself. So I
absolutely.
there's this concept of soulmate clients that's kind of starting to gain traction in the coaching intuitive space, and I've never really heard people explain it the way that you do. So would you mind
Yeah.
sharing this concept of soulmate clients and what that means to you?
Of course, yes. And I'm really excited to talk about this because I channeled the concept of soulmate clients at the very beginning of my time serving spiritual entrepreneurs, like
Mm,
beginning of 2017. And I, immediately started to like write down everything that came to me. It was very much like a download type situation. I'd never heard any of these things before that I was saying. So when I'm hearing now in the world, when people are using the word soulmate client as a synonym for ideal client or niche or target audience or avatar or whatever, whatever other thing they're doing, it kind of hurts my soul a little bit because
mm,
I see it as so much bigger than that. A soulmate client is someone who is intuitively guided on a journey. Like they're already moving in their own healing, in their own growth, in their own expansion. Like they're already on that path, or they're preparing to go on that path. And there is a point where your path and their path intersect,
mm,
right? So it's like they're taking a journey, and there's a part of the journey that you're going to support them on. There's a defined start point and a defined end point of where you are offering your support to that soulmate client. And the
mm.
beauty of this is that it takes all the whole energy of convincing people completely off the table,
Wow.
because you are building where you're building your path and where you're like really cultivating that space, um, is going to call them, not the other way around. It's not like we're figuring out what they need, we're figuring out what they need from us, like what do they want to hear, what do they want to say, whatever. Like we're building from our zone of genius and they're already being led in this direction. And the reason that is because I believe that divine inspiration is the desires of your soulmate client expressed, right? So
Whoa.
like if you've
Wow.
ever gotten an idea for like creating a type of session or creating a type of program,
Mm,
my belief, and like I hold this all the way down to my core, is that someone in the world wants it.
mm,
Someone in the world dreamt that, and the vibration was loud and clear and made its way all the way to you, and you breathed it in and you put out this, you had the idea and then you put it out. And so there is this like cosmic level attraction
mm,
between your offer and your soulmate client that you could never manufacture. Like it's happening at a cosmic and soul level, and
mm,
it's not like something that you're going to be able to talk someone in or out of, right?
mm,
So with soulmate clients, your job, or anyone's job who has any sort of business, is to create from a place of authenticity and like
mm,
really lean into what it is that your soul is saying to you, rather
mm,
than trying to edit it or make it, more marketable or make it more quote unquote tangible. Because when you start to kind of like, hone it in a way that, if you're honing it with the intention of making it more palatable for your soulmate client, then you're taking away the very thing that would have attracted them in the first place. So
mm.
that is my spiel.
That's amazing. Whoa, this is like next level shit right here. Talk about being woke as fuck. Like you got it down to a T. I love it. So yeah, why don't we just touch a little bit? I mean, I guess you did kind of touch on the difference between an ideal client and a soulmate client, but what would you say is like the difference between finding a niche and finding your soulmate clients? Like how can you
Yeah.
tell the difference between the two?
Yeah, no, totally. So if you think about finding a niche, the way that people normally like talk to you about it, they'll say, consider like their age, their gender, demographically where they're at, like also, do they have kids? Are they parents? All this stuff, right? All this stuff about who they are as a person. But the difference, though, with that and a soulmate client is that you can size people up, but not in the surface level way like a niche does. A niche
Mm-hmm.
is like a collection of data
Mm-hmm.
about a person. Whereas if
Yeah.
you're connecting with like the energy of your soulmate client, you are tuning into what the journey is that they're taking, like where do they want to go in life, what have they come from in life, like much deeper stuff,
Mm-hmm.
than how old they are, right? And so this is really important because if you force yourself to find a niche, then you're honing in the wrong place. Like, how do I say this? Like, if you're forcing yourself to pick, like, I serve entrepreneurs who are stuck at, 4-figure months or whatever and want to go to 5-figure months, then you are like zeroing in on details that could fit anybody in that space. Whereas if you go in from the journey perspective of, I support people who are ready to like step into authentic expression, or I support people who are ready to like um, tap into their soul's purpose or something like that, then you can talk to someone who's 18 or 58. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is, those conversations, you're going to have a lot more to actually talk about, and there's going to be a lot of overlap between like what you care about and what they care about, versus like focusing on like numbers or data about the person. That's going to be like much more surface level, like
Yeah.
imagine you're trying to make a friend and all you know about them is how old they are and where they live and what gender they are. That's going to be, kind of awkward. But if you are trying to make a friend and you know that they have like this burning desire to create, something amazing in the world, you're going to have something to talk about. There's going to be a connection that's just way deeper and way more satisfying for everybody involved.
Totally, totally. And I wish I really would have heard this information at the beginning of my coaching journey because, I tell people a lot. Part of my story is I started my coaching practice and I literally like kept it on the shelf for about 3 years. I was just marketing to everyone. I was just like, oh, hey, I'm here. I do this thing. And it was just like crickets. And it wasn't really until I met you and, I had that really take a look at like, what is authentic for me? Like, who do I actually really want to help? And
Yeah.
what does that look like? And so, I guess my next question would be like, what would you say to someone they have all these offerings, they have this desire to help, like maybe to be an intuitive guide, to be a mentor, to be a coach, they have a service or a product that they want to sell, they really they can't really figure out who they're meant to serve. What would your biggest piece of advice be to them? Like, what would you scream off the top of the rooftops?
You felt my energy. I was like, I just want to say something. So what I would tell someone if they're asking the question, who am I meant to serve? I would tell them they're asking the wrong question. It's not who they're meant to serve, and like that there's some like person who's deciding like, oh, here is what you're meant to do with your life, outside of themselves. The question would be is, who do I want to serve? And when you ask yourself, who do I want to serve? And there's a couple layers to that, because you can take it from like, who do I, feel like I could serve? And that's where a lot of people kind of hang out. Like, oh, I could help this person. I could help that person. I could help, in this situation. But who do you want to serve that like brings your most excited, satisfied, like engaged energy? Because that, when you're in that energy, when you're like at your tippy top of your energetic range, you're going to be able to be so much more powerful, so much more supportive as like a coach or whatever. And you're going to create like an energy around you that's just transformational without really a lot of effort. And so if someone is out there right now saying, I don't know who I want to work with, normally when you're stuck there, it's because you're trying to like, you're saying I don't know who I want to work with, but you're really saying, I don't know who I should work with, because there's still like this energy of getting it wrong or getting it right. You can't get it wrong if you're following your heart, is basically my point. If you are totally like amped up about this particular conversation, right? Like having a particular kind of conversation, then have that conversation with as many people as will allow it, as opposed to, trying to figure out, okay, I got to market to a niche that has a lot of money or whatever. And that's not really going to be sustainable, because your energy is what keeps you going.
Yeah.
What keeps you going in your business is what keeps you going, and providing like higher quality offerings, over time. And so if your energy is not engaged and like being challenged and all of that, then we get bored and then we stagnate and then we don't get the results we want and then we quit. And that sucks, because you could have had so much impact. You could have changed the world in so many different ways if you would have just honored your soul in the first place. So that's why I care so much about this.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And I think that's a really interesting thing to point out because I think both of us are really passionate about serving. Like, we want to work with the visionaries, we want to work with the
Hmm.
leaders, we want to work with the people that are really ready to get out of their own way. I mean, at least for myself, I don't want to speak for you, but for myself, I'm really passionate about someone that sees that their service, their offering, their message is something that is ultimately going to change the world. Like, it's already happening.
Hmm.
And, you're on your own spiritual journey, you're on your own path. And, part of that growth is going to come with supporting others. So I'm really
Yeah.
stoked about that. So I really want to take this opportunity to call to the emerging visionaries. And actually, that's
Mhm.
funny because that's the exact name of our mastermind, the Emerging Visionary Leadership Mastermind. But yeah, let's talk
Hmm.
about that a little bit. And what are you most excited about for this mastermind?
Oh, yeah. So, what I feel like I'm most excited about the collaborative energy that we're going to be playing with
Hmm.
because you have you and you're so supportive around like spiritual awakening, honing your gifts. And then we have Kristen, who's like such a ball of fire. Like, I love her. And then I'm over here grounding it up with like business advice and marketing
Hmm.
advice. And so I feel like the energy of all of us like playing together with all the people that join is what I'm most excited about. But really, like when I think about the impact, like when I think about how many people could be potentially like shifted by this, not just the people who join directly, right? Because like obviously their lives are going to change and it's going to be
Hmm.
amazing. But all the people that they go on to serve in a more empowered and connected and like deep way.
Yep.
I just like I watch the ripple in my mind or in my soul's, eye or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a tidal wave and it's so awesome. So like that's what gets me so hyped about this. Like when you really like expand it out and then say, okay, we'll have probably like 8 to 12 people joining us, and then they're gonna go on and like change the world,
Hmm.
and they're gonna have
And
these
create more
audiences to
leaders.
talk
Sorry.
to, and like yeah, like blow it up. And what I see is like a future where like it's not uncommon to have a big vision, right? Because
Hmm.
right now it is uncommon. Like this is a
Yeah.
little quote unquote niche, right? Like a visionary is like not something you see all the time. And so like I can't wait for a world where buddies can be like, hey, like I have this vision, and they're like, yeah, me too, and that's like that's a normal conversation that's happening in the world as opposed to this little tiny corner of the internet, you
Right
know?
on, bro.
Exactly. Like that's just get so excited thinking about that.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. And that's got me fired up. What I'm most excited about is this community, this tribe aspect, something that I really I don't even know is the right word, so I'm not going to use it, but something that I attribute my success and just my own personal success of going out there and just going for this and showing up every day is that sense of community, that sense of support that comes with people that see you for who you are. Like, for the
Yeah.
longest time, I didn't have that community of people that understood my vision. Just talking to
Yeah.
friends and like, first of all, they can't even wrap their old friends rather couldn't even wrap around the idea of like me just having spiritual gifts and like like why is this
Yeah.
motherfucker like hopping all over the country like doing all these weird things, like what is going on? But it's like so
Right.
amazing to be able to have a container, even in just our conversation with you and and Kristen, like something that I shared privately with you guys. It was like, if that thing that I said to you guys in a private message the other day, if I would have said that to anyone else, like I would have got like scoffs, like rolling eyes. But like, it's
Yeah.
so amazing for people to be like, hey, oh my God, like I totally see that in you. Like, wow, like like almost like you guys saw that in me before I saw it in myself. So it was like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that's happening in this container, or it's going to be happening in this container. And that's
Totally.
what I'm most excited about. When you can show up and share your gifts and not get like ridiculed or laughed at or even like just overlooked. Like, there's been so many times, and it just makes me sad even talking about it. Just like having conversations with people and like sharing your dreams and then someone changing the subject. Like that shit infuriates me. Like
Yeah, that's so
I had
sad.
the audacity to just speak what my vision was, and like you're not even gonna give me like that's it, like recognize that I the words came out of my mouth. Like
Yeah.
wow.
Like, do you not realize like this is gonna change the world? Like, wake
No,
up.
yeah,
Yeah, I
totally,
get it.
totally, totally. So just to be able to provide that support for others, that are on the entrepreneurial path that really have these grand ideas and are going to change this world. And like I said, helping them get out of their own way by, for myself, like helping them
Hmm.
tap into their inner child and into the wisdom of their soul and their past lives and tap into their gifts, and that's going to help them navigate their journey here on the spirit and on the physical realm. Like I am fucking stoked and I'm so excited to just put this out there, and whoever
Yeah.
is interested in joining and getting a little more information about it, definitely reach out to me. Definitely reach out to Nanette, and I'm gonna definitely tag Kristen in this when I post it
Hmm.
online as well. So if you're seeing this on her page, reach out to her. But whew, I'm excited.
Me too, man. It's gonna be awesome. Like everybody that joins us is, I mean, we're really fun, obviously. Like, obviously, we have a lot of fun. We laugh like out loud, and like there's such a cool energy that we create like together. Um, and so like I'm really excited to see how that expands and how like other people's energy commingles. But I keep thinking about like like wouldn't it be so dope if we like all just like met in real life one day and like had this like amazing, party where we all have so much fun. Like that's what I keep thinking about because like yeah, like this is serious stuff. Like we're talking about like integrity in coaching. We're talking about like discipline and like developing your skills as like a coach or facilitator. And so like yeah, we're gonna be doing like work, right?
Yeah,
But it's going to feel like just so much fun. I really think
yeah,
that there's going to be like such a cool energy of excitement and promise and like being able to be held in your vision. Like that's such a value because like you said, it's so common for either someone to say, like change the subject when you bring up your vision. But it's also common for people to try to cut you down to size and not
hmm,
even from a place of like resentment or anger. Like they probably think they're doing you a favor, like,
yeah,
hey, be realistic. Like who's going to pay, thousands of dollars for coaching? Well, actually, Susan, I've seen it online. It's happening. My coach it's happening for my coach. It's happening for, all the people in my mastermind. And like I love being able to like hold that kind of space because it is it is a part of being a visionary. Like there's a lot of people who are going to misunderstand you and they're going to
hmm,
try to like keep you safe from your own potential. They're going to try to say like, hey, don't take that risk.
yeah,
Don't put yourself out there like that. And
hmm,
while like that may be their truth, it doesn't have to be yours. And so
yeah.
like I'm really excited for that kind of that dynamic as well.
Amen, sister. Amen. Well, I know you got to get out of here soon. I got to get out of here soon too. But is there any last words that you like to say? Anything you want to hit it home with before we go?
um, Yeah, when you are like back to the soulmate client thing, when you are like making these decisions in your business and in your life around who your soulmate client is, like really before you go to answer any of these questions, make sure that you are intentionally like stepping into your biggest energy possible, right? Because if you are making these decisions from a place of scarcity, you're making the decisions from a space of like, oh, this is all I think I can get, this is all I think I can like ask for, then you'll get that. Like you won't get the best possible thing out there if you're still bargaining with what is possible for you. Does that make sense? So like
Mm-hmm.
um making sure that you like feed yourself with enough examples of people who are doing amazing things the way exactly that they want to do them, breaking all the rules, like following their soul. Make sure that you are, familiarizing yourself with some other people that are doing that. Not so you can do it like them, but more so that you can ask for what you want out of your business and out of your career. And
Mm,
so, yeah, like I have a free workbook on this actually. Like it's got journal prompts and everything. But Basically like making sure that you step into the energy of like, okay, I can have everything that I want in my business. I can feel completely satisfied. There's no sacrifices that are required, like in this decision making process. If I
Mm,
could have the perfect, most aligned business situation happening, then
mhm.
what would I choose?
Wow.
And I think that that's really important because like the frame of mind that you're in when you're making these decisions is really going to affect not the way that you answer the questions only, but like how your business actually unfolds, right? Because
Mm,
if you walk into this game believing 1000% that you get to have your business like totally feel aligned 100% of the time, the moment that something feels out of alignment, you chuck it and you move on quickly. Whereas some people are stuck in that for years. And so you
wow.
get to move forward more quickly. You get to have the momentum that you want, obviously, and the results that you want because you're operating from that state of mind. So that's what I would seal this up with.
Damn, I mean, I don't know about you guys listening out there, but I needed to hear that. Like, shit. Wow. Well, thank you so much for being here. How can everyone stay connected with you? I know you're starting to use Instagram a little bit more. How can we find you on the interwebs?
Yeah. So I am on Instagram as my first and last name, Minette Minley. I'm sure you'll have it spelled somewhere here. And then I'm also on Facebook and I'm on Twitter now. So basically, my username is always just my first and last name. But I'm going to be most active on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook moving forward. And on there, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on primarily soulmate clients. I talk a lot about that,
Hmm.
but I'll also be talking about articulating your magic, like becoming empowered in your gifts. Like I don't necessarily do a lot of like development of the gifts. that's more
Yeah.
that's more you. But once you have actually developed your gifts, like stepping into them, owning them, like articulating them, building your offers, all of that stuff. Like that's what I talk about on all of my channels. So
Mm.
yeah, but find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I would definitely recommend also if you're resonating with what she's saying here, go ahead and sign up for her freebie, her Soulmate Client Workbook. That shit is
Hmm.
powerful. Definitely
Yeah,
help you
thank
find some
you.
clarity. Yeah, totally. All right, y'all. Well, thanks so much for checking out another episode. We both got to get out of here. We're busy people. We got shit to do. Much love, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.